back to That's Gonna Cost Ya. My name's Rachel, your host, as you all know. And on this episode, we're going to talk about how to troll people successfully on TikTok. I'm just kidding. Honestly, you guys, I have been on TikTok lives for the last 5 days, and I'm pretty positive I have an addiction. I think I somehow got involved in it because I saw some fine shit on a TikTok live. And immediately I go to the comments and there's barely anyone on his live, start trolling. And bae, you look good. How you doing? Like, take your shirt off. Like, just a bunch of, just whatever, right? But because my TikTok has so many followers from the pandemic, I went viral like a bunch of times for God knows what, like just stupid things that don't even matter. But because I have so many followers, they'll usually like pay attention and they'll respond. And it's actually hilarious. So I've been like going and trolling fine shit. But then I'm like, maybe I should go live. Like, let's see how this goes. I'm like, they're just kind of doing nothing. So I started going live, and on Monday, Cinco de Mayo, me and my friend were just running it up. Like we got like over 10,000 likes within the hour. Like it was hella fun. So I was like, okay, I need to keep doing this more. But immediately, because I haven't gone live on TikTok, I've been like banned like 2 times already because of things that I say. Like I had said, subscribe to something that I don't even have. Like, and then how do you make enough? Like that. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that, and then I think I was driving in one of them, but it's like, does really, like, you guys are really ruining my fun right now. And if I would have known the rules a little bit better, I probably would be able to navigate it. But it's like, I can cuss, I can say crazy shit, but I can't tell people like to go support me on a platform that I don't even go on. Anyways, I digress. But I'm learning. And because we have this podcast page, I'm able to go live on that. So I've been going live on that. We're going to see how it goes. If it gets some traction, I'll probably keep it up and I'll go live on both sides. But it's funny because the fact that we were doing pretty well with our live on Monday, me and my girlfriend, when we were getting a bunch of likes and comments and interactions, I was like, damn, like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep doing this. And it kind of becomes like an addiction, especially when fine shit is like, we're like saying and responding to you in real time on video. You're like, it's like an addiction. Like you get distracted. So sometimes I'll find myself during dull moments at work, like when I'm working, I'll go on TikTok and I'll be super distracted. Like yesterday, I feel like I got nothing done, even though I did. Like my to-do list is filled out, my guy. But because I know a lot of my mental energy was towards that, I had to like reel myself back in. Even today, like I was also going live a couple times and I was going on other people's lives. And I'm like, Rachel, you have a full day today. Like, chill out, bro. Like, you can go on live later. Like, you can go and talk to fine shit later. And that's another thing, bro. Like, at this point, I don't know if this podcast resonates more with men or women, but I would like to hope that it's more along the lines of women because as someone who's pretty independent and does a lot of things themselves, I'm sure that there's other women that are the same exact way. And when you're working towards something and when you have a lot of ambitions and goals, you also notice that it's a little bit more lonely, it's harder to date, it's harder to connect with people and actually feel like you can be vulnerable. So I have been feeling a little bit more of a pull to talk to people and entertain conversations. Like I feel at this point right now, I have like 4 boyfriends. It's kind of crazy and it's very exhausting. And I truly know that it's nothing. Like these people, there's nothing serious going on, but it's fun and it's silly and it's like refreshing in a way, but it's also kind of exhausting at the same time. So I'm still trying to navigate that and figure that out. I think I'm just going through a little phase. Like I think when I'm so focused for so long, I need a little bit of like a release, I guess you could say. But I don't want to go overboard with it because I've done that before. Like for example, when I was working in Las Vegas and I was dancing, I was working all the time. So whenever I would come back to Sacramento and I would see all my friends, I would go hard, bro. Like benders, like multiple days, because that was like my vacation. Like that was my relaxing time, even though I wasn't relaxing. I actually find it very hard for me to relax. Like I think when I think about relaxing, it's maybe a couple hours for one day a week. And it's usually when I'm hungover, which again is also not the best. And I feel like sometimes when I hear myself talk and I talk about these things, I'm like, damn, I'm a hot mess. But really, like, I think a lot of people can relate to the fact that we're young. Some of us drink, some of us go out, some of us feel like shit after. But then there's also a good amount of people that are on their shit, that are super focused, that are disciplined, that are working towards something bigger than themselves. And I'm still trying to balance it all out and get myself to another level, which does require a certain level of professionalism, but also still be true to myself, which at the end of the day, I really am just like a very outgoing, blunt, not too serious individual. So sometimes I ask myself, I'm like, is the industry that I'm in the industry I'm supposed to be in? Like, for example, I'm in real estate, like that's my bread and butter. And I'm not a coach. I don't want to be a coach. I'm not a mastermind. I'm not anybody's guru. I literally provide a service and I have properties of my own. But still at the same time, it's like when I have clients follow my personal Instagram, I'm almost like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's why there's two separate Instagrams, one for business, one for personal. Everyone's like, why don't you promote more of your business on your personal? Bro, that's why. Because I don't want people following me expecting they're going to see any business content. You're not. You're not. Literally, you're not. Might be sprinkles here and there, but for the most part, I'm trying to keep it all separate. And I'm okay with that. And I prefer that. And I think that there's a time and place for everything. I don't want to be known for any one specific thing. I've said that. I'm going to keep saying that. But I was sitting with a friend and we were at dinner. And he's also kind of in the real estate world, more in the development space. And he was talking to me and he was like, bro, do you ever like sit at work and just think to yourself, like, I'm so full of shit. Like I'm faking this whole conversation right now. Basically, because it's the simple fact that we both know how each other operates and like we're both goofy and silly and do dumb shit. And it's like when we're sitting there in a professional work environment, it's like, bro, what? That's like putting somebody that is like the most non-serious person in a serious position. But it says a lot about the person if they can adapt and like move right. And I love those people that you get different versions of them in every different situation. Like I like people that can adapt to any environment because I feel like I can. I feel like you can put me in a room and I can go and I can talk to whoever. And I like being around other people that can do the same exact thing. Like I can take you to like a work conference, but I can also take you to the strip club. Like I can take you to a baseball game, but I could also take you to like church on a Wednesday. Like it really just is like just different individuals that can go and do a bunch of different things, which I love. I love it. I love it. I love it. Multifaceted. Like let's go. So that's really just me ranting for the first however many minutes. But I also, one thing that I feel like I've been slacking on so bad, bro, is reading. Because this year I've started reading a lot more. And one thing that I've recently started doing in March requires me to read like 18 hours a week, almost 18 hours a week. I'd say 15 at minimum, 15 hours a week. And this is not just for fun. Okay. Like this is me like studying different topics. Like this is me working towards something. So I'm doing a lot of reading and also in my business, I read a lot. So reading just for like casual pleasure almost feels like a chore. And one of the things that Atomic Habits taught me was like make the habit easy. So I've, besides obviously reading a bunch for work and like what I'm working towards, trying to still fit in like minimum 10 pages a day on a book that could potentially help me with a new skill or something along those lines. It can feel like a chore. So I'm trying to make it easy, which is what Atomic Habits talks about, the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, it's one of my favorite books. I can't believe it took me this long to read it. I literally just finished it at the beginning of 2025. But it talks a lot about how to incorporate habits into your daily life. Because at the end of the day, we may think, oh, I want to try this. I want to get in better shape. I want to read more. I want to learn this new skill. I want to get better at relationships. We all say that we want to do these things and we have this big burst of energy and motivation to go and push towards these different habits and tasks that we want to accomplish. But that can only last so long. Motivation is almost like an illusion. It's ultimately coming down to your habits and your discipline and your consistency. But if you make the habit too hard, like, oh, I want to get in shape, I'm going to start working out 7 days a week for an hour every single day. Well, whoa. You haven't gone to the gym in, let's just say, 5+ years. Going that hard is just going to create burnout. I mean, yeah, you can go and you can muscle through it, but it's one of those things where usually it's not going to last. So if you want to make something last, you usually need to create a habit around it. And the way to make it easy is to somehow incorporate it into your daily life without it affecting too many of the other things around you. So what I would do initially at the beginning of the year is most of the time my day would be done by like 8 o'clock. Make some dinner, sit down, and then start reading. But because now of how much is packed into my day and how tired I am by 8 o'clock, I'll make dinner and then I'll just want to like chill. And I know that that probably sounds really bad, but even now my day isn't really even done at 8 o'clock anymore. It's usually done at like 8:30, and then I got to go shower, and then I make dinner. And then at that point it's already 9:30 and it's about time for me to go to bed. So I'm like, reading, I'm falling asleep. So I've started to push it towards the morning. And one of the books that I have literally been reading on and off in the last year is this baby right here, The 48 Laws of Power. And I know there's a lot of mixed reviews about this book because they say it's very, it's like devil's advocate in a sense. It's very dark, as people would say. I don't necessarily think it's dark, but it just talks a lot. And instead of it saying like, oh, like go out and build these skills, make sure you put this in your life, you'll be successful, you'll be powerful. It's more of like, this is how you swindle people. This is how scammers would get away with things. Like they would give you examples of like con artists where I can see why people would think, oh shit, it's like more so a book of manipulation, right? Like the 48 Laws of Power. But I'm trying to more so interpret it as a way to use these powers for good. And I've gotten a ton of value out of it. But it's such a difficult read because it talks so much about old historic events that, like, think about it. How hard is it to read the Bible? It's pretty fucking hard. Okay. Like the way that you're reading these like old like these old words and the way they put the sentences together and like how they speak and how you transcribe the text can be very, very difficult. And it's kind of similar in this. So that's why I've been reading it on and off for the last year. It's not that the laws aren't helpful. It's not that they aren't valuable and like effective. It's the simple fact that it's hard to fucking read. Okay. So I've been really pushing myself. Like you can see right here, like I'm almost done, bro. I can't wait. I cannot wait to finish this book. I can't fucking wait because I might read it again one day. It's funny because at the beginning it was so difficult to read, and the further I go through it, it's like getting easier and easier. I think it's because I understand now like what I'm reading. Like it's not going to get any more interesting. It's just going to keep being the same shit. It's going to be the law and then an observance of the law and then the keys to power and then the reversal. Like it's literally just giving you examples of the law from old historic times. Then it's giving you the key points. Like this is what you need to do to have this, to incorporate this power into your life. And then this is the reversal. If you were to do the complete opposite of this power, would it be effective? Should you do it? And how should you use it? Basically. And it's just because of the way that they transcribe the text and the way they put it together, it can be a very difficult read. But once you understand it, it's a little bit easier. So I'm actually starting to enjoy it a little bit more. Thank God. But I went to Barnes and Noble on Tuesday, I think, and got 4 new books because I was like, I can't fucking wait till I finish this, bro. Because after this, man, this game over. I'm about to be back on my shit. You know how many days behind or how many pages I am behind on my reading? I'm over 170 pages behind on my reading. Like that just means I've missed like a cumulative of 17 days of reading, like within the last however many months, like just on and off days. And I'll add them up because I do need to like go and get through it. But I've been falling behind quite a bit just because I've been so damn busy. But I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite laws, or just one or two that have been really, really imperative. And I think it could also help a lot of different people, just depending on, who you are, where you're at in your life. And I'm sure it could apply to many different people. But I'll tell you the 2 that really, really stuck with me. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay. So the first law I'm going to break down to you, it's a little bit long. Okay, guys, so stick with me, but I think you're going to get a ton of value out of this. Okay, so it's law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. This is just a quick little transcript from it, but it says, the way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. In the long run, appearing vulgar or common will make people disrespect you. For a king respects himself and inspires the same sentiment in others. By acting regally and confident in your powers, you make yourself seem destined to wear a crown. So, you guys know Christopher Columbus, right? You guys all know about that guy? Okay, well, they talk about a couple situations of him in this book, but this one really stuck with me. So I'll just read it to you. So when Christopher Columbus was trying to find funding for his legendary voyages, many around him believed he came from the Italian aristocracy. See what I mean? These fucking words, dude. Like, I don't even have a degree. What do you expect right now? All right. This view was passed into history through a biography written after the explorer's death by his son, which describes him as a descendant of the Count Colombo of the castle of 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬𝐿. Okay? Basically, they're saying he was fucking royalty. Colombo, in turn, was said to be descended from the legendary Roman general Colonius. The two of his first cousins were supposedly direct descendants of an emperor of Constantinople. Bro, fuck. Who cares? You get what I'm saying? An illustrious background indeed. But it was nothing more than an illustrious fantasy, for Columbus was actually the son of Domenico Colombo, a humble weaver who had opened a wine shop when Christopher was a young man and who then made a living by selling cheese. Columbus himself had created the myth of his noble background, because from early on he felt that destiny had singled him out for great things and that he had a kind of royalty in his blood. Accordingly, he acted as if he were indeed descended from the noble stock. After an uneventful career as a merchant on a commercial vessel, Columbus, originally from Genoa, settled in Lisbon. Using the fabricated story of his noble background, he married into an established Lisbon family and had excellent connections with Portuguese royalty. Oh, this is so good. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so basically, he's full of shit. So because he married into royalty, because they thought he was royalty, through his in-laws, Columbus finagled a meeting with the King of Portugal, whom he petitioned to finance a westward voyage aimed at discovering a shorter route to Asia. In return for announcing that any discoveries he achieved would be made in the king's name, Columbus wanted a series of rights. The title Grand Admiral of the Oceanic Sea, the office of viceroy over any lands he found, and 10% of the future commerce with such lands. You guys understand what I'm saying? He wants 10% of all transactions through these lands that he basically finds. All of these rights were to be hereditary and for all time. So imagine Columbus has 10% of all the land he's ever found for all time. Like his family, all his descendants, everyone. Okay, that's what he's asking for. You guys understand? It's what he's asking for. He's demanding these things. Columbus made these demands even though he had previously been a mere merchant. He knew almost nothing about navigation. He could not work a quadrant, and he had never led a group of men. In short, he had absolutely no qualifications for the journey he proposed. Furthermore, his petition included no details as to how he would accomplish his plans, just vague promises. When Columbus finished his pitch, the king smiled. He politely declined the offer, but left the door open for the future. So here, Columbus must have noticed something he would never forget. Even as the king turned down the sailors' demands, he treated them as legitimate. He neither laughed at Columbus nor questioned his background and credentials. In fact, the king was impressed by the boldness of Columbus's request and clearly felt comfortable in the company of a man who acted so confidently. The meeting must have convinced Columbus that his instincts were correct. By asking for the moon, he had instantly raised his own status, for the king assumed that unless a man who set such a high price on himself were mad, which Columbus did not appear to be, he must somehow be worth it. A few years later, Columbus moved to Spain. Using his Portuguese connections, he moved in elevated circles at the Spanish court, receiving subsidies from illustrious financiers and sharing tables with dukes and princes. To all these men, he repeated his request for financing for a voyage to the west. and also for the rights he had demanded from the king. So you guys understand, he's with the dukes, he's with the princes, and he's making the same demands to them that he made to the king previously, okay? Some such as powerful Duke of Medina wanted to help but could not, since they lacked the power to grant him the titles and rights he wanted. But Columbus would not back down. He realized that the only person that could meet the demands was Queen Isabella. In 1487, he finally managed a meeting with the queen, and although he could not convince her to finance the voyage, he completely charmed her and became a frequent guest in the palace. In 1492, which is 5 years later, the Spanish finally expelled the Moorish invaders who centuries earlier had seized parts of the country. With the wartime burden on her treasury lifted, Isabella felt she could finally respond to the demands of her explorer friend, Columbus, and she decided to pay for 3 ships, equipment, the salaries of the crews, and a modest stipend for Columbus. More important, she had a contract drawn up that granted Columbus the titles and rights on which he had insisted. Only one she denied, and only in the contract's fine print, was the 10% of all revenues from any lands discovered, an absurd demand, since he wanted no time limit on it. So you guys understand, the queen is granting him all the demands except for the 10% of all the land that he's discovered. But you guys have to also understand that had the clause been left in, it would eventually have made Columbus and his heirs the wealthiest family on the planet. Columbus never read the fine print. Satisfied that his demands had been met, Columbus set sail that same year in search of the passage to Asia. Before he left, he was careful to hire the best navigator he could find to help get him there. The mission failed to find such a passage, yet when Columbus petitioned the queen to finance an even more ambitious voyage the following year, she agreed. By then, she had come to see Columbus as destined for great things. So, the interpretation of this is simply how Columbus was mediocre at best. He knew less about the sea than did the average sailor on his ships. He could not determine the latitude and longitude of his discoveries, mistook islands for vast continents, and treated his crew badly. But in one area, he was genius. He knew how to sell himself. How else to explain how the son of a cheese vendor, a low-level sea merchant, managed to integrate himself with the highest royal and aristocrat families? Long story short, this man sold the fuck out of these individuals. But the whole point of me even reading you guys this is he demanded all of these things. He got literally everything that he wanted. But the one thing he did not get was the percentage of all the land that he discovered because he didn't read the fine print. And I've said this before and I will say it again because it's one of the most important things I do in my life and in my business to this day is having contracts in place. Like in my business, everything is defined by a contract. In anything that I do, any type of real agreements that I make, everything needs to be in writing. There's this gentleman by the name of Dan Fleshman. He's a big entrepreneur in the space. He is an angel investor. He has tons of different businesses, tons of connections. And he says, sign contracts with everyone, even your mother. That is literally what he stands by. It's what he talks about. And I agree as well. Because one of the things that I've been learning a lot about lately, besides the simple fact that I already knew everyone should protect themselves legally, is I've been learning a lot more about contracts. Because there's so many different things that go into it. It's not just, oh, you agree? I agree. Great. Let's sign a contract. No, there's so many more things. And especially when people try to have a contract in place and then somebody who had signed the contract says, oh, well, I didn't know that that was the case. I didn't see that. I didn't know that this is what I signed up for. Well, one of the biggest things that I've learned when studying contracts is you have a duty to read. So if you see a contract in front of you and you hear them say, oh, this covers this covers that, sign here, initial here, it just talks about this, you have a duty to read. Just because someone is helping you through the contract to kind of break it down for you doesn't mean that you should just skim over it. I know we all do. I get it. Majority of us do. But when it comes to really important contracts, things that could make or break your business, things that are all about a partnership, you have literally, it's called the duty to read. It's your job to read a contract and make sure that everything is in there that you guys discussed. Because if something happens, you bring that to court. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not pretending to be one. This is not legal advice. But if it was to go to court, anything that you guys talked about prior orally is usually not going to be able to be brought in to court as evidence. You would literally need to go based off of what the contract says and then use whatever defenses you can to hopefully get some type of, repercussions from it. But nonetheless, duty to read. This man would have been the wealthiest man on the planet. His family would be the wealthiest family known to man. But what happened? He didn't read the fine print. If he did, shit, we'd be lit. I'm just kidding. I think I'm related to him. I'm just kidding. Okay, anyways. All right, I think I'm going to do the next one. Okay. So this one is just a page 329 in the Laws of Power. So this one is for Law 39. And Law 39 is stir up waters to catch fish. I love this because my dad has anger issues and they've definitely rubbed off on me. I wouldn't say I have anger issues, but I definitely have a temper. I don't think so much anymore. I have found myself get a little out of character. And I'm sure anybody that knows me, anybody that loves me, they all know that. But it talks about stirring up waters to catch fish. Because have you ever seen somebody get really, really upset and you kind of just step back and you're like, what the fuck is their problem? Why are they so upset right now, dude? Like, chill out. You know what I mean? And they just make themselves look really dumb. Like people that overreact to things that are not that big of a deal. I've made myself look like a fool doing something like this. But it's funny. My mom always tells me the story of when I was a kid because she told me I would never throw tantrums. Like my temper is based off of common sense. And it happened when I got older. But when I was a kid, I'm just a kid, but I never threw tantrums. I never overreacted in public. If anything, I was scared to act a certain way in public because I was worried about what people would think as a kid, which is, anyways. So there was this girl, I guess, at the grocery store. She started throwing a tantrum in front of her mom and threw herself on the floor and started kicking and screaming and crying. My mom says all I did was look at her, and then I looked at my mom and I was like, what's wrong with her? And it's that's literally people's reaction sometimes. Imagine you see somebody yelling at someone else from across the way. You're just like, what the fuck is their problem? Dude, chill out. You don't look at them and go, oh damn, you go, good shit. No, it's dude, are you good? Relax. Because you don't know what someone's gonna do. Sometimes when people are in the heat of the moment, you hear about all these road rage incidents, you hear about all these crazy things, people getting so angry, gun violence, things like that. People can make split decisions just off of anger. So this talks a lot about that. But one of the things that I want to talk about, because usually towards the end of every chapter, after they talk about different situations and the interpretation of those situations, they talk about the keys to power, which kind of breaks all the different ones down a little bit and explains what the whole point of telling you these observations were. So, keys to power. Angry people usually end up looking ridiculous, for their response seems out of proportion to what occasioned it. They have taken things too seriously, exaggerating the hurt or insult that has been done to them. They are so sensitive to slight that it becomes comical how much they take personally. More comical still is their belief that their outbursts signify power. The truth is the opposite. Anger is not power. It is a sign of helplessness. People may temporarily be cowed by your tantrums, but in the end, they lose respect for you. They also realize they can easily undermine a person with so little self-control. The answer, however, is not to repress our angry or emotional responses, for repression drains us of energy and pushes us into strange behavior. Instead, we have to change our perspective. We have to realize that nothing is the social realm, and in the game of power is personal. Everyone is caught up in a chain of events that long predates the present moment. Our anger often stems from problems in our childhood, from the problems of our parents, which stem from their own childhood, and on and on. Our anger also has roots in the many interactions with others, the accumulated disappointments and heartaches that we have suffered. An individual will often appear as the instigator of our anger, but it is much more complicated, goes far beyond what that individual did to us. If a person explodes with anger at you, and it seems out of proportion to what you did to them, you must remind yourself that it is not exclusively directed at you. Do not be so vain. The cause is much larger. goes way back in time, involves dozens of prior hurts, and is actually not worth the bother to understand. Instead of seeing it as a personal grudge, look at the emotional outburst as a disguised power move, an attempt to control or punish you cloaked in the form of hurt feelings and anger. This shift of perspective will let you play the game of power with more clarity and energy. Instead of overreacting and becoming ensnared in people's emotions, you will turn their loss of control to your advantage. You keep your head while they're losing theirs. Bruh, that right there was, I mean, honestly, that law, the one before it about Columbus, even though it was really just that specific lesson about reading contracts, honestly, that's what I got out of that chapter. But Law 39 about stirring up waters and that specific key to power, along with Law 40, which is despise the free lunch, which also is a great chapter. Those two I've gained so much value from because I myself would find myself overreact to smallest of things. Like even sometimes I'll read messages from like clients or people like that are in my life or whatever, and I'll read a message. I'll be like, I'll literally say out loud, like, what the fuck? No, like out loud. But usually I'll take a step. Obviously, I won't respond right in that moment. But if something irritates me and I want to have a conversation with someone, I'm not going to be quick to jump down their throat. That's something that I might have done in the past, but I've learned a lot of the times from my mistakes and the outbursts and the angry moments that it's never the way to resolve things, and that it definitely plays a big part in how other people see you. Not that you should necessarily care about what other people think, but if you feel like it's becoming something to your detriment, well, you should probably take a little bit of a look in the mirror. And I feel like one of the things too that I actually made a TikTok about, which I haven't even posted yet. I put it as a draft because I was like, is this a little cringe? But basically, I was like, one of my favorite gifts to get somebody, doesn't matter like who it is, but specifically one of my favorite gifts to get someone that I'm interested in, that maybe I'm having conversations with, that I actually like might be seeing. And it's usually never serious because I haven't been serious with anyone in a long time, but maybe just somebody that I'm having like friendly conversations with. I've met up with a few times. I've learned a little bit about them. My favorite gift to give them without seeming over the top is a book. And number one, it's really just to see if they can read. And you'd be surprised by how many people don't read, or like people that don't, I mean, a lot of people don't read, but people that have the inability to finish something. It's not just like, oh, can you read? I mean, let's be honest. Like, can you read? But number two is, can you finish what you start? So can you open a book? Can you read it? Can you finish it? And then ultimately reflect on it and potentially apply it, which brings me to number three, which is, even though that book was such a difficult read and I'm almost done, I'm so close. I'm like 4 laws away from being done, 4 chapters. Such a difficult read. As long as I gain something from it, which I obviously did, and I can apply that into my life, I've won. Like I 100% won. I am satisfied. I am good. As long as I can gain something from it or learn something or reflect on something, it teaches me something, I feel as if it was worth it. And at the end of the day, any type of read is usually going to be beneficial unless it's something that, maybe seems like it has no value, but very rarely is that the case. So what I would say is seeing if they can read a book and ultimately reflect on it and potentially apply it into their life. I'm not getting this man no hat and cat in the hat. I'm not getting him no Harry fucking Potter. No. Usually I'm getting them a self-development book, like self-improvement book, something like that, because that is going to determine, like, can they notice things in a book that potentially apply to them, that they can resonate with and say, oh, I think I do that sometimes. Or do I do that? Maybe I should ask like someone that's close to me. Or, oh, I've noticed that I'll usually have this issue pop up whenever I feel upset, or I'll have this feeling whenever I finish a conversation. Like, how can I change that? It's usually like one of those things where if I'm talking to someone and they open up to me a little bit and they're a little bit vulnerable, and maybe they have childhood trauma that they haven't recovered from, or maybe they're deflecting from a past relationship, maybe their communication skills are just absolute trash. What I'll usually do is I'll get them a book about that topic. Now, it's not going to be straight in their face, like how to communicate better, how to deal with trauma. It's not going to be something like that, obviously. I'm going to try to make it a little bit more subtle, but I will have a book with those things in it because I want to see if they can be self aware enough to notice, oh shit, this sounds like me. You know what I mean? But most of the time, people don't have enough self awareness to even want to get better, to even notice their flaws and their faults and those things. And sometimes it brings me to think, are they just stubborn or do they not have anyone in their life that gives enough of a fuck about them to tell them that they're screwing up? And I would say when I was dealing with my own things, or sometimes when I am dealing with my own things, there's a sense of stubbornness when people will say, have you noticed that you do this? I'll be like, no, I don't do that. But then I'll go and I'll reflect and I'll be like, do I do that? And maybe I'll ask somebody else or I'll pay a little bit more attention to it. And then as I read, it's so funny because you know when you're going through something and then just like all these signs start popping up, like things that just make you think about the certain situation. And usually when I'm dealing with something, I'll be like, let's just say I'm talking to God. I'll say something along the lines of like, please show me a sign like of what I'm supposed to do next, or that I'm on the right path, or open up my eyes to be able to see, my flaws and my faults and things that are in my way, preventing me from becoming the best version of myself, basically. So what I really love doing is just giving someone a book. So I can give you guys a couple examples. Like there was one that I gave just a friend actually recently that is currently in the process, like they're kind of finding their way in like different things that they want to do, and they're looking for new opportunities. And we've had really, really great conversations. Like this is a good friend. We've had great conversations about different like areas of life and things that we're trying to improve upon. And the book that I gave him was Atomic Habits. And he's been reading it. I don't know if he's finished it yet, but he definitely seems to be getting value out of it. I can only hope so. And hopefully applying it into his life. But that's literally just a friend that I gave the book to. I literally, every single book, like I'll do my best to give it to someone else. Like, or maybe we'll do like a swap or something like that, because books and just having knowledge in general, I mean, how else do you really expect to get better besides your experiences, of course? But reading is almost like therapeutic. It's the ability to reimagine yourself and other things in your life. But here's the fucking plot twist. And this is what I was trying to tell the ladies is if you want to find a little bit more about this person that you're considering, give them a book. Give them a book. And if you don't know them well enough to know about all their traumas and all the things that they might lack that you don't like for example, I really want someone that has great communication. If they don't have great communication, it will be a deal breaker, but let's see if they can improve upon it. Instead of me going in their face and saying, you suck at fucking communication, like and being super rude, maybe I'll get them a book. Be like, hey, do you read? Do you like to read? Have you thought about reading this book here? I think it'd be a good fit for you. Or I think you'd enjoy it. Something like that. But if I don't know them well enough, I'll maybe just get them something a little bit more general, like the 4 Agreements, Atomic Habits, like something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe the 48 Laws of Power, who knows? And just see how they handle it and see if they change anything. But here's a plot twist. Most people won't even open the book. They might think that they want to open the book. They'll think about opening the book, but they won't even touch the book. They won't even open it. They won't even start it. And that alone should tell you a little bit already about what you need to know. Because it's like, okay, they can decline it and they can say, oh, no, thanks. I don't want to read the book. But most people won't do that. They'll accept it, but then they'll just never read it. But I think it's also about how you maybe approach it. There was this guy that I was fucking with where I really wanted to send him this book about how to get past your previous relationships. Like how to deal with heartbreak, actually. I think the book was called like How to Deal with Heartbreak. But I wanted to read it first because the author, it was a little cringe. So I was like, if this is super corny, like I kind of don't want to send it to him. And it was. So I did it. And that's okay because he'll figure it out. And there's other books that could apply to him and, other fine shit. But when I see things in people and they sometimes deny like, oh, that's not me. That's not me. Usually it is them. And as a single woman that still can enjoy the company in conversation from a good looking, handsome man, I get value and pleasure out of just having like good conversations. And it brings me back to what we talked about earlier, which is I've been noticing myself getting a little bit distracted, if I must admit, on fine shit. Like, and that's just like the term right now, fine shit. Like, there is some good looking ass men out there, and all I have to do is go on TikTok live and find them. It's so easily accessible. It's kind of disgusting. But it's funny because I think about it all the time, into like all these crushes that I had when I was younger and all these people that I was interested in. I always tell people, bro, I'm literally, it does not fail me. It does not fail. I may not get them today, may not get them tomorrow, a week from now. Shit, I may not even get them a year from now. But I can assure you, eventually, I will get them. And whether that be them in my DMs, me like cracking them, like whatever it is, bro, like I will end up getting whoever I had set my eyes on. And that also brings me to, okay, if I'm fucking with someone and maybe I know, like, maybe I'm a little stuck on them, like, oh, I'm super interested. I'm kind of giving them a lot of my attention and energy when I know that they probably aren't shit. I do it and I'm like, yeah, I might be a little fixated on them for a week. Like, yeah, I'm a woman, I'm a female, I have hormones, and they're kind of like intriguing me. Let me see what this is all about. I don't think that that's necessarily unreasonable. I think that I'm going to indulge myself a little bit, hopefully not to the extent where it ruins other things I have going on, which I don't think I would ever allow to happen anyways. I've come this far. I don't think, and I think I've gotten better in time. I'm pretty sure that I know myself well enough to not allow someone to completely distract me from what I'm doing. I don't even think I surround myself with people like that. I digress. But usually I might be stuck on them for like a week, a month, couple months, whatever. But eventually it's very easy. Ultimately, this feeling of like excitement and interest and indulgence, that will come to an end, because most of the time they don't end up doing anything. Like, they end up just like most people, which is they go in about their life, they maybe go into their career, they find their interests, their hobbies, maybe they find a life partner, have kids. Like, that's majority of what I'll see. Now, maybe it's just me, but like, I'm usually looking at that like I didn't really miss out on much. Like, I'm fine. And I don't I don't want to, I feel like I'm coming off like such a bitch when I say this. Like, oh, he's going to end up being average as fuck anyways. But that's not always the case. I mean, there's definitely people that will go out there and make something for themselves. But I don't know. I think it's like one of those things where I see people that are so stuck on one person, or they're so stuck on someone that they know isn't good for them, that it's not healthy, or that they really know they shouldn't be with, but they just can't get past them for whatever reason. And it's usually because they don't see a bigger vision for themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say, oh, all these other people are out here, they're fucking bums and I'm the best thing that's ever happened to them. No, that's not what I'm saying, even though I'd like to think that. That's not the truth. The truth is, when somebody is stuck on someone and they feel as if they have no other options, it's not because they have the inability to put themselves out there. That might be the case. But really, I think it's because they don't see a bigger version of themselves beyond this person. Like, for me, whenever I've dealt with heartbreak or situations that make me feel less than, all I have to do is think about my goals and my ambitions and what I'm working towards and the things that I want in my life. And even when I think of these things, I don't see any one specific face or person or personality or like figure next to me. I literally see myself accomplishing these things. And if there is someone next to me, great. If there's not, that's fine. And it's because I've never relied on that idea of being with one person or just a person that is so like make or break that I have to have them in order to accomplish these things. Hopefully you guys understand. So whenever I'm dealing with something, whenever I have a heartbreak, whenever I have a situation where something ends with someone that maybe I was interested in, all I have to do is think about my goals. All I have to do is think about the bigger picture, the bigger vision. And ultimately I'm able to snap out of it. Now, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to, reminisce and feel a little down for a bit. But ultimately you kind of have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get straight to it and get back to it. You know what I mean? So anyways, I hope you guys got some value out of this. A lot about reading, a lot about books, a lot about love, a lot about life. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. toes, baby. You think a little too small. I got big goals, baby.